Something
Carl
like
made
that.
a similar point here. Carl, did you have did you have an opinion?
Oh yeah, it just kind of echoes what Ovadia was saying, was that basically, yeah, if you're direct to consumer up to your first 50 million, up to your first 100 million, you're going to be dealing with very measurable tactics. As you get into upper funnel things that have either a layer of abstraction or pushing higher on the consideration cycle, you're going to have some different ways of going about things and looking into what you might measure. And it's also areas where you might take a step back and say, okay, it's going to be hard to look at the long-term carryover effect of one of these channels. It's also difficult to buy some of them and know that you can restrict them to a particular geography, such as podcasts. They go out everywhere. You can't say, only some people allow you addressable ad insertion. So with all of that, you might look for one step back proxy measures, such as brand lift or what have you. So that's all.
Okay, fantastic conversation. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. Any final thoughts, Eli and Ovadia? Oh, go ahead, come on.
Yeah, but then just have a thought. So for the Perfect Gene brand use case, like after the incremental analysis, we found that the virality had a significant role, right? So not sure how we can measure that, but just a thought.
But that's the media mix was the measurement. Can you guys react to that? The 41% for the virality, word of mouth. How do you guys? Sorry, go ahead, come on, finish your thought.
Yeah, I'll finish my thought. So I was thinking so similar use case what we have seen, not virality, but brand equity increasing, having a high presence. So in such cases, we have seen organic traffic, for example, site direct or even Google search, organic search, having a very high high touch points basically. Did we do a check in Google Analytics or some, was there a spike in the organic traffic for?
No, there's a spike. There's a good chance. I haven't looked at it directly, but I know that direct was a big portion of their overall source medium cuts. In terms of spiking, the question that Ovadia is asking is that both Eli and Ovadia are asking is that in the sensitivity analysis, we came back and I said 44% of new customers are baseline customers for you. They're not from media, they're just walking in the door. And he's like, that's no way that's true. There's no way that can be true. I'm a young brand. I've been only around for 3 years. There's no way more than about half my business is walking into the door without media and advertising, stimulating the behavior. And we did this media mix model to figure out, is there word of mouth? Is there virality where people buy a pair of jeans and they say, oh, this is great. Let me recommend this to my friends, so to speak. And you can track it, but can we estimate it somehow? And we took this approach of using autoregressive coefficient to estimate it. Ovadia and Eli, how is that landing on you guys? When you look at that result, you're like, dude, that can't be true. Or is it more like, okay, I don't buy it, but how do you just react to it?
I actually think that was one of the that was very surprising in a good way. And I don't know. I that's actually something that I do want to figure out how to test through in a little bit more, because I sort of may want to even just say, let's turn off all ads for 2 weeks or a month. Because if that 44% is true, I'm fine. And let's just see what happens. I do think that you can harvest a lot of old impressions, so to speak. So let's say impressions last, right? You might have served an impression that didn't get a click 3 months ago, and someone decides they want a gene and they're in for you. So I think you can turn off ads at some point and just say, let's just harvest all those 44% of people who we think would have come and see if it's actually 44%. And maybe it may not be, I don't know, but
you want to test and validate that insight is what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, because if it's true, there's a lot of money that we can just harvest without spending on ads.
I don't think it's like people just coming in the door. I think it's someone ordering a pair of jeans and then they're so impressed and they love them so much that they go and they tell a bunch of their friends and family. And that's like my hypothesis. So it's not directly coming from media, it's coming from word of mouth, which I think is huge for us. Because even myself, before I started working here, I got a pair of jeans and I told people about them, right? And I don't know, Madon has our jeans. He probably told some friends about them. I think because the product really sells itself, in my opinion. So I think the way I was thinking about it, actually, it's like we can take this 44%, right? And we can actually create a new ROAS, like we can create a multiplier for our ROAS, and our ROAS is actually maybe higher due to the virality of each purchase we get, if that makes sense. So that's how I'm thinking
Mhm.
about it. But I don't know, Madan, how do you?
That's one way to think about this. Exactly.
Yeah.
Blend the virality into media. If
Yeah.
truly you're saying that I bring one customer through media and that customer gets me another customer, then maybe you should go back and give media credit for driving the first customer, right? If that's true, then all of a sudden your ROAS is twice or your CPA is half, and all of a sudden you have a lot more headroom than you originally thought.
Yeah, like, and
You would
then
have
I
to
guess.
test into it.
But Madan,
Yeah.
something that also, but a part of this that's also really important, right? And I would love your opinion. We ask in our post-purchase survey, we do ask, like, how do you hear about us? One of the answers is friends and family. And only 5% of responses say friends and family. So that's also, but maybe, I don't know, maybe those
No,
people.
there are two hypotheses. One hypothesis, what you said, which is word of referrals. Ovadia is like, no, it's not. It's just ad stock. It's this impressions that have not converted, that are in market. There's latent demand that we've created. He's saying, let's just cut our spend and let's just like take the money from the latent demand. It should come in, is what he's saying. So it's two different POVs, and they're both testable. I mean, we can test.
And I don't know the answer. I'm just
Well, it comes, but then it'll stop coming if we turn off ads. It's just gonna
Yes.
stop. But so it's like how much do we want to? How long do we actually want to stop running ads for? I don't know. But Madan, what do you think? I want your opinion.
I mean, the answer is to test. We can absolutely design a test for that, and we can estimate which one of these hypotheses is true. But what I would also do is go through a decision matrix and say, how would you act differently? Would you blend the ROAS down, or would you assume that at any point of time there's about half your new customers are waiting to walk in the door? You're building up that funnel, and you can always juice it up. You can just turn off your media. All of a sudden, your P&L numbers could look really good for a couple of months. If you want to do that, it's kind of a cheat. And if you're about to raise money, you can do that for a bit and play some games like that. But that's about it. It's a short-term thing. You turn it off for a bit. You just take in some profit. Don't spend any money. And maybe it's just something in your back pocket at all times, because some demand's been created waiting for you. It's just going to show up on the door. You just have to be patient with it. And those are two decisions you could make, right? I mean, we have to figure out what the decisions are, and then we can absolutely design a test that helps you kind of tease it out.
It's a fascinating question. If we turned off ads for 6 months, what does the business look like in month 7? I couldn't tell you, but that's a kind of a crazy thing. That's like, who's ever going to do that? But it could be that the business cuts in half or cuts by 90%. I don't know, but it would be very, very profitable. That's for sure. I do have friends who've cut their ad spend in their business from, I don't know, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a month to 50,000. And sure, they're half size, but they're not 90% of where they're not 10% of where they were. They're 50%, which is very interesting. Different brand, different scenario, but wow. Okay. So all of a sudden it went from, yeah. And it was a very viral, very organic Instagram-led product. So it made sense. And it turns out the ads weren't nearly as important as they thought. And it went from being break even, doing, 5 million a year at a break even for 3 years, to making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 of profit on $1 million of business. And it's interesting. Okay. Wow.
Okay, so I think we have time for maybe 1 or 2 questions. Okay, right, Rashmi, you go.
I have 2 thoughts, not directly related to this. One is 41% repeat really healthy for a business? Because 41% is really high for a repeat customer, and that says that the new customer percentage is not as healthy as it should be. So that's my one question. Second question related to that is testing, the virality of it, testing whether these are customers who are coming by referral. Instead of pausing ads and all, won't a referral campaign kind of answer this question? Because one is word of mouth, assuming that it's word of mouth. Another is if our existing customer have say a offer or a discount to share with their friends and family, and they get something in return, but we can just measure the usage of that code, and that will help us know, okay, how many are really coming from word of
Oh.
mouth, right? Instead of
So
pausing.
I actually think a referral campaign like you're discussing is not actually word of mouth. That is a marketing campaign. It's not real word of mouth. It's giving an incentive. It changes your true word of mouth, which is free. So it's a different type of campaign. It reacts differently. There's a lot of reasons why I don't love those. They can work, but it's different than what we really want, which is free marketing, which is true word of mouth baseline marketing. And I think referral marketing is it's functionally a different thing. It's not someone who's talking about your product organically. It's someone who's responding to an incentive or an offer. So I think that there is a difference there. I think measuring those campaigns are actually much harder than they think. I think the tools are weird. There's a lot of fraud in those, and I think there's a lot of challenges with measuring that perfectly. But that's one. I think in terms of the new versus repeat, there's two ways to measure new versus repeat traffic. First is percent of revenue today. That is very problematic. Or over a time period, what's the mix? That's actually very problematic because that is directly related with marketing you're spending on new customers, right? So if I spend 10x on new customers today, it's going to look like I have a very low percentage of repeat because my new customer is spiking. So that's very problematic. And conversely, if I pull back spend, my trailing 30 days, it looks like my new is low and my repeat is high. So the real way to measure new versus repeat is at a cohort level. The standard is look at every customer acquired in a given month or a given quarter and look over the next 30 days, 180 days, 360 days. What percent of people acquired in month one or quarter one have made a second purchase? That's the right way to do it. And in that case, is if you're at 40% of your cohort, if I acquired 100 customers and 40 have purchased again, in general, you should have healthy economics because you're building up your slices of repeat performance, where even though it's degrading, 40% have purchased and every month, more and more people get added to that pie. At some point, it degrades to a point where it's not so relevant, but it becomes, that's very healthy. And over time, that ends up being your profit engine. It's very hard to make money on new customers after marketing. You can do it. We are profitable on new customers, but the repeat is where you really make your money because that's quote unquote building a brand, and then you can spend less and less on marketing to them. And that's where you can really make quite a bit of profit. But cohort analysis is really, really, really critical for understanding repeat customer behavior. That's really, really the key. Not looking at it as a percentage of new versus repeat customers or revenue on any given time period.
Last question, Vishnu, you want to go?
Yeah, I actually had a question for Eli because I think he talked about post-purchase surveys. So couldn't we use the post-purchase survey to measure virality in terms of, how did you come to know about it from friends, relatives, or something like that? Is that something that we have already done, or maybe we could try that out? Any thoughts around?
I guess something that I've spoken to Avadia about a lot is that the MTA solution doesn't show enough of the view-through effect. And I think that's a part of the virality as well. It's like both. So what we did see here is, so triangulating the 3 different data sources we have, our MTA solution Northbeam has shown basically the lowest ROAS / highest CPA for TikTok. And then the post-purchase survey was kind of in the middle where it showed a higher ROAS and a bit of a lower CPA. And then our geo holdout test showed the highest ROAS and lowest CPA, which I think it just gets closer to valuing view through, if that makes sense. And I guess to go back to what I was saying at the beginning, it's like, that's why I value the geo holdout test the most, because it actually shows you the real data versus we know the MTA doesn't have all the view through effects in mind. We know that for a post-purchase survey, 60% of people aren't answering the question, And there's a lot of like, there's obviously data loss just because it's people just like saying what they thought versus the geo holdout test shows us the real truth. Regarding virality, it's really hard to know if it's like view through or virality, if that makes sense. But there is, so I would say like the biggest difference between the three sources we have is like really the valuing of the view through effects. And I guess not to like, I guess sidebar on this, but Madan asked a question about Google Shopping earlier, right? And I think our and I definitely like, we're planning an incrementality test on Google Shopping because my hypothesis is we're looking at Northbeam, which is our MTA solution. My hypothesis is a lot of the conversions that are happening there. People are clicking for the first time on our Google Shopping campaign, but I think a lot of those conversions are coming from people who've seen a lot of our TikTok and Facebook ads and are looking to shop for jeans and end up clicking on our shopping campaign on Google. So the next question we have in mind is like how incremental is this campaign really, even though it's the first touch point ever, but how many views did these people have? So that's something that I'm always thinking about, and that also I guess somewhat blends into the virality conversation. But I guess Madan probably has a way better answer for you regarding the virality stuff because I've never really like.
No, so Eli was, I don't know if you caught it, Vishnu. He was saying in his post-purchase survey, he asked the question: did you come in through friends or family? Did your friends or family recommend? But he's not getting a lot of answers there. He's getting 5-8% of the people saying they were referred to the brand by a friend or a family member, right? So there's not a lot of that capture coming through. So that's why they're trying to ask the question, where is this coming through? Half the business is walking in the door. Where is it walking in the door from? And that's what this conversation is about. So
Madan, but I would argue that I wouldn't really fully trust the post-purchase survey there. It is a very low response rate. So I don't think like from 5% to 40% is a lot, but I would say the problem, like people who are referred by friends might have a lower likelihood to respond to the post-purchase survey versus someone who like purchases from a paid ad. Like who knows? Like I was talking on Monday about like, okay, Facebook and TikTok, I feel like the response rates are pretty similar. But for a referral, that's a whole different pool of people. It's like paid media versus for like someone just talking about it. So that's also and there's a really high likelihood that it's a mix of both. Like we have a lot of impressions on our ads, right? And people are like, they like everyone, like a lot of my friends see our ads, but and I say, oh, I work at the Perfect Jean. I'm like, oh shit, I've seen the ads. Should I buy a pair? I'm like, yeah, buy a pair, and then they buy it. So that's somewhat of a referral. But they might see our survey and be like, oh shit, the first time I saw this was from a Facebook ad, right?
It's highly unscientific.
So
the post-purchase survey is super directional, but highly unscientific.
Yes.
We do, I think, randomize the order of the question. So it's not just everyone clicking the first one. I also think there's a lot of cohort bias in it, but it's very interesting and it is reliable once we go back, once you triangulate it with the GeoLift and MMM and MTA. But it's like, once you ask someone the question, you've changed, you can't give two answers for it. So if you could select multiple, it would probably give you a little bit of a slightly more interesting read. But it's also, you have to select one, and it's only people who are answering that. I have never once answered a post-purchase survey, ever. And I'm probably like someone who could answer correctly, like I actually understand what they're trying to do with it. I just don't answer it. So who's answering this? It's people who are not necessarily always paying attention. It's very valuable info, but there's for sure cohort bias in it. I don't know which way it is, but it is a very valuable piece. It's just something you have to be aware of. You're asking the question, and therefore you're influencing the result. It's like Heisenberg principle.
I did something, it moves, right? It's beautiful.
Yeah.
What a great conversation. Yeah.
But can I say one more thing?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know, it's just like something I'm thinking about now a lot. It's like I'm just going back to this whole virality, like where is it coming from? Is it people who viewed our ads 6 months ago, whatever? I really like it has like it's probably a mix of both, right? It's like people who've seen our ads, and then someone mentions the perfect jean to them, they're like, oh shit, I was thinking about maybe buying that, and then they go buy it. I really think it's a mix of both. And I don't know, Madan, you gotta,
We can
I
test
guess
it.
next time we're here, maybe you can propose a test to us. That would be a good idea.
So for the class out, I just want you to, this is a beautiful conversation. This is how healthy conversations happen when tests go the way they're supposed to go, and you have brands who want to like figure it out. This is how it's supposed to. The big takeaway for you guys is that when your consultants out there market helping brands like the Perfect Jean, this is what you're expecting to see. It's not like we know the answer. We're testing into the unknown, right? We're kind of blinded. We're trying to feel around as to what the answer is. This is how it feels. So a lot of us, when you go in, there's an expectation of a perfect answer. The expectation of like knowing, coming out of the truth. Man, the truth is not easy to find. It's kind of like you can get a version of it. And that's what you have to like work with. What are you trying to do with it? What is the decisions you're trying to make with it? So how Ovadia and Eli are thinking about decisions, that is the big takeaway. And helping your clients guide them to decisions is probably the big takeaway here that hopefully you take away from the conversation. Guys, thank you so much. Phenomenal conversation as always. I'm pretty blessed to have you guys in the cohort. I'll circle back.
You.
We'll finish the conversation again on the results, and hopefully we'll value out of it as well.
Thanks, Madan. Yeah, Madan, thanks for
Thank
having
you, guys.
us.
Appreciate
Everyone
it.
here,
Thank
everyone
you for
here,
elevating our NPS today. We'll have the highest NPS today.
Go ahead, Eli, finish your thought.
everyone here is lucky to be in class with you, Madan. Thank you.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's been an honor. This is a lot of fun. And you guys know where to reach us if anyone has questions or wants to chat. And we should probably get everyone here a discount quotas or something.
They'll
we should. We'll send
appreciate
them.
that. Thank you.
I'll
They're
do it.
both on Slack, and you can hit them up on Slack.
Yeah, we're on Slack. If you have any questions, we're on Slack. If you want some free jeans,
Yeah.
we're on Slack.
Bye,
Appreciate
guys.
So
Thank
guys,
you all.
we have 20 minutes for the last section. How about we do Kiran, if you're there? I think I see you there. So I originally, Kiran has done this session before in the May cohort. What I'm going to do is I'm going to chop it up and then drop it as a pre-read for you guys or a post-read for you guys in class. So you guys have his Facebook Geo Lift briefing as a video that he walks through.